Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm going to be showing you how to carry on AD Udyr. This game is a perfect example of when not to play AP Udyr because our team's already full magic damage. If we went AP Udyr here, even if we got Giga Fed early on, 10 kills, 0 deaths, there's still a very high chance that we lose the game because the enemies will stack magic resist items and we won't have good damage, neither will our teammates. So if you find yourself in a situation where you lock in Udyr and then your team decides to draft full magic damage, it's perfect time for AD Udyr. For your best runes on AD Udyr, you can't go wrong with Press the Attack. It hits super hard. The synergy off of his empowered Q autos is nuts. Then you want Triumph, Alacrity, Coup de Grace, and then you want Celerity, Water Walking, Attack Speed 80, and health. You're going to want to power farm pretty much non-stop into gank reset, power farm gank reset, playing Drag Soul Wincon. If you can't play for dragons, then you're going to be forced to play more split push heavy, focusing on grubs and just hitting the side lanes. Most characters can't solo Udyr. They have to have some kind of auto attack block or just ridiculous solo potential like Nasus to take on AD Udyr solo. So he does tend to be a very strong soloist split put option around the 20-minute mark plus. In terms of how you farm your camps, you're really going to use Empowered Q just about every single time. The increased attack speed you get, you can cycle your passive much faster, taking it off of cooldown to use another empowered ability, which will in general be your Empowered Q once again. After you use your Empowered Q, you want to make sure you auto-auto, then you'll use another ability, auto-auto, and then in another ability, auto-auto. This is the fastest way to get your passive off of cooldown. As you're running from camp to camp, you'll use your E once you have it at level 4. If you don't have it yet, so in the super early game, we're just going to use our R since it outranges our autos. This pulls the camp to us, and then we will auto twice, and then we'll use our Q and auto twice. Getting W at level 3 tends to be better. It'll keep you healthier, so if the enemy jungler does invade you, you'll have a stronger chance of soloing them because you'll have more health. After our full clear, there's no gank topside, so I pushed into the enemy's jungle because we finished so early at 315. Diana was foolish enough to try to solo us, so we stun her immediately into Empowered Q. Then we can swap over into our R and then use our W. Keep in mind, your Q and your R are your only damage abilities, so those tend to be the ones you use first when you're fighting somebody to the death early game. Later on in the game, you honestly don't even have to cycle your R on if they're not trying to escape from you. It can be better to cycle to your turtle stance sooner depending on their damage output. Since I'm high health and double buffs, I had no intention of resetting. I know I can still solo the Diana. I didn't want their bot lane rotating on me here, so I did not try to engage with her. Plus, they also have mid prio at the moment. The easiest way to tell who has prio, as a general rule of thumb, you can look on the glance at the minimap quickly and see whose characters' pictures are closer or who has it shoved. For example, if Yon is underneath my teammate's tower, odds are he can get to a fight sooner since my teammate is going to be enticed to stay underneath the tower and farm out the minions. After doing the scuttles, I went ahead and full cleared because it was good timing. Plus, since we had double buffs, the clear was still pretty efficient, and there's no risk of her being able to solo us since she's behind and I have double buffs, plus my champion is the stronger solo. So it's really all upside. On your first item back, I wouldn't really recommend Tiamat. Your AoE clear is already pretty good with Empowered Q and with your Udyr R. So you're better off with Phage for the health, damage, and bit of movement speed, and then we can start building into boots before we finish our Stridebreaker. On the kill feed, we see Diana just took the grubs, so she's on the other side of the map. I have a lot of gold spent. I see she's pushing towards my raptor, so it's the perfect time to kind of look to take a dragon. It's a little bit risky in the sense of, well, if the enemies come, but at the same time we're ahead, I can solo the Diana. My bot lane kind of has prio right now, so we can I figure we can sneak it, especially with the Q spam. I kept seeing Diana near the mid lane gank and near my side of the jungle, so I'm just going to go ahead and take her camps. Once again, we can solo her, so even if she did venture over, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Here the enemies find me out, they ward over the wall, and we do a little bit of the silly chase. Diana's here, so we empowered E to get away from the karma chain. We don't want that going off. Empowered Udyr E makes you immune to all CC during its duration, so you can run through a Vigar cage or a Lux snare or whatever. It's extremely useful for getting to someone if you couldn't otherwise get to them, or especially for escaping certain death. And we're going to go ahead and pull this into the bush, that way just in case Diana comes, we're farm back up. I figured she might be on my blue, but it kind of turns out that she wasn't. Can never be too safe though, and then accidentally waste my Empowered E. When you're farming, guys, on AD Udyr, it really is always Empowered Q. AP Udyr tends to lean more into R heavy on multi-target camps. Thing is, with how much AoE true damage your jungle pet does, the camp will basically just die from that and non-empowered R anyways. I once again stayed for the full clear since I was already there. My camps are lined up. Just full clear, gank reset, full clear, gank reset. Pretty simple. We'll use our E to get to Aatrox, walk in between our autos, hit him with the Empowered Q, whip on the R, then we cycle into W since our E stun is on cooldown and we don't need the E speed up at the moment. Main reason I don't invade Diana's topside here after Aatrox dying is just because I haven't spent all my gold, so it doesn't feel quite right. Plus Aatrox is spawning in, Gwen's staying, to where I'll have to deal with their full health top laner. Right now, we're pushing back out for our full clear and for a potential scuttle crab. It seems that Diana got the scuttle. I see her on my ward, so I wait in the bush for her to use an ability. We can sprint out, tap her down with the smite, land the stun into empowered Q. She pretty much evaporates there, and it forces out her flash. After we take her raptors, this puts us in a spot where we could either gank bot. However, my best option would have been to go for grub since she got the first 3. If I can keep them from getting a 4th, they won't get void mites, to where me going bot lane here, even if I did get a kill, it wouldn't have been quite as good as not allowing them to get void mites. Plus, their bot lane, it's double range, so it's kind of tricky to gank because my bot lane has iffy engage. It's mostly just skill shot nonsense, which is hard to land versus double range champs. While in base, I see, of course, Diana gets the grub, so I'm going to sprint out towards Dragon. She could certainly get here in time, but I'm going to have a big item advantage just because I've been farming so much. So I have my Stridebreaker. Stridebreaker on Udyr is really good when you run towards somebody. You don't have to stand still to use it like you do Tiamat, so you can just stride break as you're running towards them. Hit them with your stun, switch into empowered Q, and eat them alive. The Stridebreaker will slow them down and speed you up simultaneously, plus it does a bit of damage. The Stridebreaker itself gives you AoE damage on all of your autos, some health, attack speed, just some good core stats. If you're already on top of someone or you have their position cut off, don't use your Stridebreaker or your flash too early. Here we just walk into them with an E, pop them with Stridebreaker, and then we bash them down with the empowered Q. I'm still holding on to flash for as long as I can get away with. Once Karma pops a chain on me and I feel like I won't be able to get to him otherwise, we flash, use W for 2 more empowered auto attacks, just from your passive, it's extra attack speed, and we finish off the Smolder. I see Diana's mid, so I'll head over to a red buff. I know I can take it fast enough. If she comes over here, I can easily kill her because she still shouldn't quite be a full item. This is an example of using E. You Stridebreaker them before you even get to them. That way we can close distance. Empowered Q, double auto, swap to your W, then double auto. Since Udyr's passive is relatively low cooldown and it functions like a normal ultimate, you can get quite a bit of value even if you don't kill somebody just by chunking them out. My passive's on cooldown, which makes this a little tricky, so we have to stun, use R, cycle off 2 autos, and then use our empowered Q. Without Talia, there's a chance Smolder could have soloed us if Smolder has sums, but as a whole, we should still be able to win it without our passive empowerment. It's just a good lesson in general. When you gank, make sure your passive's up. So when you're farming, you're on that last camp, try to make sure your passive will be ready for the gank, because if it's not, your gank success rate is going to be way lower. I know Diana's in my jungle because she showed up on the top gank, so I'm trying to pull this into the bush. I know I can't really contest the red buff or the Krug since Aatrox has lane pry out and is more fed than Gwen, so I'm just going to check real quick, see if it's there, and then I'm going to head on out. I wasn't even going to fight for her. I just wanted to see if she was still doing it. Get a little nervous about them diving Gwen since she is so low, so I headed on over for a moment before I recall. Once you do have your Stridebreaker, tier 2 boots is what you want. Against their team, plated would have been an amazing option. The thing is, Diana, believe it or not, is actually one of their better players, so I decided to go for Merc Treads because she went for double magic penetration. We can always lean in the Dead Man's anyways. Dead Man's tends to be the stronger movement speed item for AD Udyr. Or if we really want to, we can just keep stacking up the health, pushing our item advantage, and try not to itemize at all for armor and magic resist items since we're going to be playing the split push anyways, not necessarily looking to team fight as this game escalates. We can just have Veigar and Talia clear mid lane while me and Gwen split, easy peasy. None of them can really match Gwen late game or an Udyr late game on a split push. Once your jungle item's completely finished, bushes and killing primary jungle monsters gives you a big speed up. It makes ganking easier. It gets us to Diana faster so we can look for our stun to save our teammates. Since our teammates were in peril and they could have died, we definitely should have Stridebreaker then use our E. We ended up using Stridebreaker after the E, which slowed down our rate of approach on the Diana and thus slowing down our initial stun. Veigar Aatrox end up TPing in. Should be an easy fight for us. We just focus the Aatrox move away from Smolder during the fight and we're able to live and get the heck out of there. Drag Soul is absolutely our win condition. Diana's dead still. The Aatrox is still dead, so I'm kind of just hovering Dragon until it spawns in and we have passive ready to go. Since my teammates didn't help, this Dragon took a while, plus with Diana tier 2 boots base speed up, she'll definitely get here. When it comes to smiting, it's generally better to smite late rather than early. If you smite early, it's doomed. She is a full item, tier 2 boots and partials. I have a full item, tier 2 boots and partial, and I'm already missing well over half my health, but we have passive backup, so we hit her with the empowered Q. We swap into W, and then we pop into R. Since our stun was ready on her, we could have used E as well. That would have been a good option. We immediately go back into full clearing. That way we don't fall behind, because remember, 20-minute mark, we need to go into split push mode. We see Aatrox is out of position, so we E in, get him with the Stridebreaker stun, powered Q, and down he goes. I'm already closer to the enemy's jungle, so I'll just farm this out, especially since Aatrox is dead. My teammates are with me. We're able to deny Diana red, putting her farther behind, and also grabbing 2 red buffs for my team, since 2 dragons or more have been taken at this point. We then reset to spend our fat gold stack, go back into full clear mode. If we see something on the map, we can react to it, get there quickly with E-spam and our blue jungle item. It is really important. Remember, every single time your E's up, use it to move across the map. You'll do your clears faster and just have a lot more tempo in the game. Veigar cage is up. Yone a little out of position. He doesn't have tier 2 boots, so I know with E-spam I can run him down. I hit him with smite to slow him down. When I get close enough, I pop him with Stridebreaker to slow him down, speed me up. Now that we're in range for stun, he gets bonked into empowered Q. Veigar can follow it up with cage, and the enemies get absolutely toasted. I'm somewhat vulnerable at this point with no passive, and I'm near their turret, so I'm going to pull out a little bit. I'll still hover around my teammates. I'm not going to leave them out to dry. You can always hover in range, but when you are in range of all the enemies and you end up underneath their turret, that's when you die. We get Aatrox with the slow, the stun, and down he goes. The enemies are spread out thin. We have flash, so we can look for some more. Sig Veigar cage, we plant pop into stun. We get him with the Stridebreaker, empowered Q, and down they go. Since we hard won that fight, we're able to end, so we never really got to the stage of the game where we can split push, which once again is around the 20-minute mark plus for Udyr, especially if you feel like team fighting is a bad idea, which it generally is on AD Udyr. Main things to remember: full clear gank reset, use your E Stridebreaker stun, and then empowered Q, and split push 20-minute plus.